Good morning. Happy whatever day it is that you're catching this video. Listen, my name is Lachelle Barnett. I am a launch and brand strategist serving coaches who are new, right? If you're in the aspiring space and you're just getting started, or maybe you're the first couple years in and you're trying to figure this whole online space thing out, then I'm definitely your girl. So we've been talking all this week about revenue. How do we increase it? How do we make it more consistent? Okay. So catch the other video that we did earlier this week because it's a good kind of first step. But here's the next step in our conversation. First, it was how do I get more revenue? Now I need my revenue to be more consistent. So we do these videos twice a week, and they're short, right? They're always designed to be 10 minutes or less. So that way you can focus more on implementation and not learning, right? Learning will put you in information overload. Learn to implement what it is that you're learning. Okay. All right. So let's jump into it. Here is a couple of things um, that I think will be helpful. I'm going to give you three. So maybe more than three. You never know. Okay. Here's number one. The first thing I want you to understand or start thinking about is what's the number, right? Sometimes when I'm talking to people and I say, well, what's the number that you want to bring in? They either don't know or they just guess and they say, well, I'd like to make this amount of money, right? But what I want you to start thinking about, what's the real number, right? So what's the goal? Let's say you're trying to come off your job, right? And so your number one goal is to replace your income. Okay, well, what number is that? Okay. Or maybe you don't need to replace your entire income in order to quit. Maybe you just need to have half, right? Maybe you have a spouse, or maybe you're downgrading, or maybe you just need to feel comfortable enough to be able to produce the first, set of money, and then you can trust yourself enough to produce the rest. Whatever. The goal is, what's the number? Okay. And here's the other thing that I would say is that whatever number you put here, it should be a bit of a stretch, but don't make it so unrealistic, right? Sometimes when I'm talking to people, they say, well, I want to have 5-figure months. And I say, okay, well, how long have you been in business? And they say, a year or two. And then I say, well, what's the highest revenue producing month that you ever had? And they tell me $500. Listen, let me tell you a secret. You're not going from $500 to $10,000 months. Okay. And let me tell you why. It's not that you can't. I want to be very clear. That is completely doable. But what I want you to understand is that it requires a different mindset. It requires different behaviors, and it definitely requires different strategy. So if you want to make that kind of a jump, then you need to understand what goes into it. So I would encourage you to stretch yourself. If you've been at the $500 or $1,000 mark, which I know a lot of people are, then what does it look like to start making 2,500? Right? Or let's just say you've had $10,000 months, but you only have them sporadically, right? Well, then let's make 10K the number. The goal is stretch yourself, but make it realistic, okay? And make it a real number that matters, not some arbitrary, I made this number up. Here's the second thing that I want you to start focusing on, okay, is the offer. If we're at the point where we're trying to create consistent revenue, now I'll just give you my personal opinion. First of all of these videos are my personal opinion. Okay. I'm anti 47 offers. Okay. Now I think you should have lots of choices at some point. But when you're in the beginning stages, you don't need 12 offers. It just creates more confusion for you. So I want you to focus on one offer. Okay. And then you can do a variation of the same offer, meaning, okay, so I have one program that I offer, and you could do one-on-one coaching, or you could do group coaching, or you could do a course. Same offer, 3 different programs, 3 different price points. Okay, keep it simple. Okay, here's the other thing that I would say. This offer needs to have 2 things. Number one, it needs to be high enough in price to help you meet your revenue goal, right? So let's just say your revenue goal was $2,500. Okay, if you're selling a $47 thing, you're going to have a hard time meeting your audience, meeting your revenue goal. Why? Because most of the people who are in this space don't have a big enough audience to support a $47 thing at $2,500, right? So let's just do the math. In order for us to, you'd have to sell 53 of those, right? Which means you would have to have an audience much, much bigger than that. right? So the thing I want you to be thinking about, you need a higher price point here based on whatever your revenue goal is here, okay? Because most of you do not have a big enough audience to be selling low ticket stuff, okay? Here's the second thing that I would want you to start thinking about as it relates to this offer. Is it worth it? Like, I want you to figure out how to develop, package what it is that you do better. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this because my whole word is not going to fit. But it needs to be irresistible. Okay, that's what this stands for, this raggedy eye that I just created. Okay, it needs to be irresistible. It needs to be worth whatever it is that you're charging. Okay, here's the third thing. And this is what people think is the problem. But a lot of times you got problems bigger than the marketing. Okay. But then our last step is marketing. And when we're talking about, we could talk about all kinds of things, but essentially all we're talking about is leads. Okay. How many leads do you need to have every single month in order to meet this particular goal? Right? How many leads? That's the question. Okay. And so here's the formula that I want you to start using. Okay. I want you to, where'd my cursor go, Jesus? Okay, here we go. I want you to 10x your leads. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say your revenue goal is $2,500. Okay. You want to make consistent $2,500 every single month, right? And let's say your offer, right? I'm going through these 3 steps. Your offer is $500. Okay. So that means you need 5 sales per month to meet your revenue goal. Okay. If you need 5 sales, then that means you need 50 leads. Okay. That's what 10x means. Let's say your revenue goal is 10K. Okay. Let's say your offer is $1,000. Okay. That means you need 10 sales every single month in order to meet your revenue goal. Okay. That means you need 100 leads per month. That's what 10x means. You're just going to times it by 10. Here's why this is the number. When you're early and you don't know your conversion rate, or your conversion rate is inconsistent, you need to start with 10 times, because what I can guarantee you is that you can close 10 out of 100 people. You can close 5 out of 50 people, right? The truth is, all the leads won't be great leads, right? It takes work to be able to, and not work, it takes strategy and clarity to be able to attract qualified leads, okay? So that's, eventually you won't need 10 times the number of leads. The better you get, the more you can go from 90 to 80 to 70. You know what I'm saying? But for now, this is where we need to work with. And don't let that number overwhelm you. It's like, well, how am I going to get 50 leads every month? How am I going to get 100 leads every month? Honey, that is the easy part. And I don't want to sound, I get it. Marketing is a hard thing for people. But I could show you how to get 50 leads every single month organically, just like I could show you how to get 50 leads every month using paid advertising. The point is, this is possible. And sometimes people hear the number and they're like, oh my God, I could never get 50 leads. Yes, you can. Listen, we just ran an ad for 5 days and got 280 leads. Okay, 5 days. We're not talking about a whole month. It's completely doable. Here's the last thing that I'll say. Okay. And this is important. I know I said 3, but I'll be lying. So you're welcome. It's this. When you're trying to transition from where you are to wherever it is that you want to be, there is always internal conflict that will come, right? As I move, listen, when I moved from having 5-figure months to having 5-figure weeks, bruh, I didn't even anticipate the level of, I don't know if I'm gonna say fear or concern, or, some of it is excitement, but the other side of that is transition and growth stretches us. Okay. So I want you to start thinking about what kind of things are going to have to change in order for you to do these 3 things, right? One is definitely focus. You got too many ideas and no implementation, right? The other is accountability. The things that we're asking you to do are hard if it's your first time. Eventually, they become super easy. But in the beginning, the A stands for accountability, okay? In the beginning, it's hard. So if you're going to get to where you need to be, you need to build in some accountability. And I'm talking about the right kind of help. Or you're going to just look up and a year from now, you'll be in the same exact spot. The other thing is strategy, right? You got to know how to do each of one of these things, right? You need to change your mindset, your behaviors, right? What you're willing to do action-wise in order to get to consistent revenue. I could give you the strategy all day, but that means you have to learn how to show up consistently even when the numbers aren't the way you want them to be, right? Or even when all hell is breaking loose in your home, right? So some of this is a mindset shift, and I want you to start thinking about what things do I need to change in order to become, okay? You already know if you guys have questions, you can drop them below. Happy to support you. Y'all have a